Our first event on one of the country's great bass lakes, Okeechobee. There were 175 professional anglers, the best in the world, each paired with a co-angler.
And there were some huge bass landed as the anglers battled to make the top 20 by day 3. Only those 20 pros and co-anglers would have a shot at the huge prize money.
And that's $110,000 for the first place pro, $40,000 for second place. The top co-angler wins $15,000 with $6,000 for second place there.
Now later in the show, we'll show you the winners and talk about how they caught their fish, plus bring you the drama of how one fish decided who'd win that $110,000.
Also coming up, fishing tips from the top anglers, your questions for the pros, and a look at the FLW Tour schedule, which may be coming to your town.
And we'll also look at the EverStart, BFL, and Texas Tournament Trail schedules, plus timely advice on caring for your bass boat.
Stick around, it should be a great show.
Right, let's have some fun for a minute. You know, today is Groundhog Day.
Ah, that's right. I'm very glad that you mentioned that, because it's not just groundhogs who predict the weather. For more on that, here's Steve Wilson of the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission.
You know, Punxsutawney Phil may be the great Groundhog Day predictor, but serious anglers know that the bass is a lot better source for weather information. Here at Lake Ouachita in Arkansas, we have the answer to Punxsutawney Phil. He's the most famous bass in the lake. He's called Ouachita Willie. Every February the 2nd, Ouachita Willie will leap from the water to check out and see if he sees a shadow. If he sees one, we'll have 6 more weeks of great fishing. Game and fish biologists have been studying this for years, and now I'm here to see Ouachita Willie for myself. There he is. There you have it. Ouachita Willie has spoken, and we got 6 more weeks of great fishing, which includes the FLW Tour stop right here on Lake Ouachita beginning March the 13th.
All right, that's funny. Let's get serious for a minute. Our cameramen, as you know, are right on top of the action when these anglers catch fish. That's how you see the great hits that result in giant bass at the weigh-in. We want to know which hits are the greatest hits. We want you to help us decide. Today, you'll see 4 of the best catches that we had. After the show, log on to FLWOutdoors.com and vote for your greatest hit. Here comes number 1 from finalist Anthony Gagliardi.
All right, that was Anthony Gagliardi, choice number 1 on FLW's Greatest Hits. More great hits just ahead, plus an action-packed show.
All right, here's what's coming up.
T. Kenny leapt to the forefront of the fishing world with his win in Florida. JT joins us for a look at his early days and how he ended up on the winner's stand.
From the NFL to a much larger playing field, Coach Dennis Green talks about his days on the water and his love for the sport.
$6 million are still up for grabs in the Conseco Fishing Challenge. We'll give you details of how to sign up for your chance at the big money.
Also on FLW Outdoors, Steven Anderson is the youngest professional to ever fish an FLW event. A look at the 17-year-old's experience at Okeechobee is coming up, along with a fishtail you won't want to miss.
I just turned around and dived on it. I'm saying, fish, fish, and he's going, yeah, he keeps driving, you know, like this tunnel vision, you have to get there.
FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Walmart, always low prices, always. By Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. And by EverStart Batteries, more power for your money.
It was a little bit slower than I expected. The wind picked up more than it has in the past week. It blew about 20 miles an hour. It blew a lot of the water out that I was fishing, and still managed to get a limit, my partner and I.
It was tough out there today. I didn't get the bites that I thought I'd get today. As a matter of fact, I watched a guy catch a couple of fish that I found in practice.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. I'm Carlton Wing with Taylor Carr.
The 2002 season began like most FLW seasons in Florida in January.
Now, Lake Okeechobee is certainly a great place that many of us would like to be during that winter time. The Big O has served to start 6 of the past 7 seasons on tour, and why not? The big bass pulled from America's 2nd largest lake get the angler's season off to a roaring start.
Now let's take a look back now at how the week on Okeechobee unfolded, starting with Wednesday and Thursday's fishing, as each angler and co-angler tried to make that final 20. January 23rd dawned the perfect Florida day, full of promise for the world's best anglers, each with hope this new FLW season would be something special. Lake Okeechobee was itself full of promise. Conditions were better than last year, and there was talk the lake was primed to yield huge stringers. Minutes after launch, some anglers were already working their spots, while others made the 25-mile run to Okeechobee's North Shore. 8 hours later, though, it was clear the fishing might be tougher than expected.
I'm lucky to have my 5, but, you know, I'd have liked to have come in with about 14, 15 pounds. Certainly there's that quality of fish where I'm fishing, but I got to take what I can get, and that's all I could get today.
The fish are trying to spawn, but a lot of them are moving up and going back very, very quick.
This is a great lake, and it's just between conditions right now. The fish haven't really committed up to go shallow, but they're not all the way out either. They're kind of halfway feeding in. So the fish are moving every day, and what that means is that you're going to see people with high strings one day and low weights the next day, and vice versa.
Only 2 anglers weighed in more than 17 pounds, and one was Hermitage, Tennessee's Rusty Rust, who, as he watched to see if his lead was challenged, was already thinking day 2 strategy.
I think there's still some other good fish bedding in this one area. I've got 2 other areas just like it. So probably tomorrow I might go in and maybe try to catch one fish there, maybe, or I may just lay off of it. I'm just trying to see what the weights are, see if I can just, you know, coast a little bit tomorrow.
Day 2 saw the demise of local heroes, including Scott Martin, son of fishing legend Roland Martin, and longtime Clewiston resident Steve Daniel.
But the problem with the area I'm fishing, it was just really all grass stuff, real heavy stuff, and you're going to lose some of them. You know, you're not going to catch all of them. But you're lucky you get half of them, actually.
Well, today wasn't bad. It was a little better than yesterday. Yesterday I had 8.13, and today I had 9.4. So really pretty similar. I did see a few more bigger fish today moving up. Just wish I could have caught them.
The best story of day 2 was the remarkable comeback of Arkadelphia, Arkansas's Keith Green, who vaulted all the way from 129th place to 5th.
I was at the bottom of the barrel, so I didn't have anything to lose to go out and try to catch a big sack, and that's kind of what I did. I had an area yesterday I went to I thought I could catch that kind of sack out of down south, and it just never panned out yesterday. So today it worked out. I did it a couple years ago here, and I caught 3 pounds the first day and 19 the second, and almost made the top 10 cut. So, you know, I knew I wasn't out of it, but I knew it was a long, hard road to hoe, and I just needed a big bite, and I got it this morning.
FLW rookie Jimmy Luthner of Vernon, Vermont had 2 big bites, and his 32 pounds led after day 2.
We bred across the main lake today. We went up north, about 30 miles north, and it was rough, and the fishing was real good, though. We got into them pretty good, and my partner caught a good 3-pounder right away, and then we ran about another 30 miles plus another 20 miles down south.
Each of the first 2 rounds features a big bass award. $750 went to the pro, $500 went to the top co-angler with the biggest bass each of the first 2 days. The biggest of the big went to Jim Carnell, a pro from Muskogee, Oklahoma, with this 8-pound 4-ouncer proudly displayed at the weigh-in tent.
Now that fish vaulted Carnell from 65th to 21st in the standings after day 2 and nearly landed the Okie from Muskogee a slot in the semifinals. He fell just 3 ounces short of reaching the top 20. Here's a look at who made the cut and how that semifinal field handled the pressures of day 3. You've heard the song "Breaking Up is Hard to Do." Well, when cut day arrives at an FLW event and the field of 175 professional anglers drops to 20, it's tough to say goodbye to those whose bags didn't carry enough weight. Like defending Okeechobee champion David Fritz, or Angler of the Year Kevin Van Dam, or legend Larry Nixon.
It was a lot tougher on me. That wind blew all night long, and it blew into the area I was fishing. And yesterday they didn't bite early, so I kept waiting. Today I kept thinking, you know, that it would be a late in the afternoon bite, but they just never did turn on.
But the semifinal field of 20 included 3 former FLW champions, including 3-time winner Clark Wendland.
Yay! I caught one.
Friday morning, the semifinalists left the launch site knowing that by day's end, the field of 20 would be cut in half to 10. Friday's 8 o'clock send-off was an hour later than any other day in the tournament and gave the fish a little extra time to get their affairs in order.
What a strike.
Many anglers had to rely on the big bites late in the day just to make the next cut. At the 5 o'clock weigh-in, one plot line became very clear. There's a new generation of anglers emerging on the FLW Tour. They're good, they are fun to watch, and they are very enthusiastic about their fishing.
Oh, man. Oh, no. This is a good one, too. I don't know.
Well, those cuts can be tough when you go from 20 to 10. We lost some of the big names in the game. Clark Wendland, a 3-time FLW Tour champion. He was out, didn't make the finals. Kobe Krieger, another favorite for Okeechobee, not in that final 10 as well.
Let's check the Chevy leaderboard through day 3. On top, J.T. Kenny, followed by Jodan Satina, Jimmy Luthner, then Gary Klein and Jay Yellis.
And then that bottom half rounded out with Jim Tutt, Keith Green, Sam Newby, Anthony Gagliardi, and David Dudley.
All right, as we mentioned, some very talented anglers are invariably left out of the semifinals and finals. We spoke with a few who shared their thoughts on the ebb and flow of fishing.
I'm around the quality fish, but so far I really hadn't put everything together just yet.
I was catching them on topwater bait, and man, they just quit biting. I think I'm gonna go try the fish a bit Thursday, Friday in the morning and see if they may decide to bite again, you know.
Well, there's plenty more coming up. The final 10 took the water with their chances increasing for that big paycheck. We'll recap the exciting drama of Okeechobee's final round coming up when we come back. But first, here's a one-of-a-kind story as told by Wanda Rucker with her husband, Bill.
We was fishing a tournament on Kissimmee Chain, and we was almost late for weigh-in. We had nice big fish in the live well. Just coming across Cypress, and all of a sudden he's flying. He's probably doing 70 miles an hour, rough wave, and something hits me in the back of the head real hard. And I turn around, and it's one of our 5-pound bass that jumped out of the live well and was flopping on back of the deck. And I just turned around and dived on it. I'm saying, fish, fish, and he's going, yeah, he keeps driving. He just had this tunnel vision of getting there on time, you know. We couldn't be late because we had a nice limit of fish in that tournament.
Welcome back to Walmart FLW Outdoors, a fishing show unmatched for its action and excitement.
Now, Carlton, let's talk a little bit about the co-anglers. At fishing's highest level, this is unique. In the FLW event, the co-anglers have the best deal going. Now, they fish in the same boats with some of the best anglers in the world for great cash prizes. But they're not fishing against their pro partners, only against the other co-anglers.
Now, those co-anglers pay less in entry fees. They have the opportunity to win substantial cash and prizes, and each day they spend hours on the water with the top anglers in the business.
Now, it's an incredible opportunity, and it's not uncommon for successful co-anglers to move to the professional side.
You often hear the phrases front of the boat and back of the boat. The professional fishes from the front of the boat and controls the direction of the boat and where they fish. That co-angler fishes in the back of the boat.
The co-angler finals are always on Friday and feature the top 20 from the first 2 days. Here's how it turned out at Okeechobee. It's hard to beat the co-angler weigh-in for pure, unpredictable drama. 20 anglers with a one-day shot at a $15,000 first prize. But since they're fishing with a new partner every day, versatility is critical, since pro anglers' styles can vary significantly. This was a fresh co-angler field. 14 were first-time finalists, and only one was a former winner, John Bruce, who had captured the Walmart Open 3 years ago. Bruce's nearly 23 pounds Wednesday and Thursday led all co-anglers. So Friday, he was paired with pro side leader Jimmy Luthner, who was on fish and proved a helpful partner. By day's end, Bruce had boated 5 fish, so he was a contender. But other co-anglers had struggled, and 4 came to the stage empty, including John Ballard of Parkville, Missouri.
Well, my partner sight fished today, and as you know, as a co-angler, that's real tough on you. We went up in an area of a tight jungle. I mean, you couldn't, the back of the boat was so tight into this jungle, I really couldn't catch any good quality fish.
But 5 co-anglers did manage to catch the limit. And when Galax, Virginia's Greg Lineberry reached the stage, Jason Knapp was in front. All that changed when Lineberry pulled out his 5th fish.
Here it is. Wow.
That 7-pound beauty gave Lineberry a total of 13.11, which held the lead until the final co-angler, the former winner, Bruce.
I don't think it'll quite make it. 5 fish in the bag here. 9 pounds, 10 ounces. We have a champion.
Real quick here, John. Boy, good job. How did you feel coming into the final?
Oh, I felt great, especially when they told me my guy was on a lot of fish. But if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have caught those fish today. He gave me the bait, gave me the hook. I was kind of lost till about 12 o'clock, but I pulled that through. So I didn't expect to win with that. I knew somebody would come in with a big bag, but I'm very pleased.
First, for Lineberry, it was a dream come true. He'd been successful on the Everstart circuit, but this was his first crack at the FLW.
I can't believe it. Just thank the Lord, and I thank the 3 pros that I had all week. First day, Cochran, George Cochran's son. Then I had Keith Williams the second day, and then JT today. They were awesome, the best fishermen, nicest guys you'd ever want to meet.
The co-anglers top 5. Greg Lineberry and John Bruce, 1 and 2. Followed by Jason Knapp of Uniontown, PA. Mike McAdoo of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and Richard Lewitzki of St. Charles, Illinois.
Now, Greg Lineberry was so excited that after he won the event on Friday night, he drove all the way back to his hometown in Galax, Virginia, through the night, and he watched last week's show from home.
That was a talented final, too. You know, John Bruce is Mickey Bruce's son. Mickey was second in Angler of the Year standings last season.
All right, now let's get on to the pro side. Through the first 2 days, that field of 175 anglers managed just 2 stringers of at least 20 pounds. Saturday's final 10 would produce 2 more 20-pound limits and set up a dramatic conclusion to the opening event of the 2002 season.
Oh my God, yeah! Woo, that's a fish! God, that's the biggest fish I've caught in my life.
The 2002 season truly got off to a fresh start, with 5 of the 10 finalists enjoying their first appearance in the final day of an FLW event. That final field brought with them great storylines for an exciting finish, such as Vermont's amiable Jimmy Luthner, who came from the EverStart Northern Division and joined Maryland's J.T. Kenny, competing in their first FLW tournament ever. Keith Green came with his wife and twin 3-month-old daughters. Fortunately for Keith, he also brought his mother-in-law along. She helped take care of the tots in the wee hours of the night, so Green could take care of the fishing with full use of his faculties. 21-year-old Jodan Satina looked to become the youngest FLW champion ever, while veteran Gary Klein hoped to hook his 3rd FLW championship.
More bites like that, and I might give him a run.
The final round began at 7 a.m. with beautiful January Florida weather. And with a large paycheck looming across the not-too-distant horizon, some sunrise jitters were understandable.
Can't wait to get started. I'm about to bust.
The day on the water ended at 2 o'clock, and some anglers raced back sensing victory.
Yeah, baby! Let's get it on! Woo!
Others sensed that a bad day fishing is still better than any day not fishing.
Well, we did the best we could do. Fished hard all day. Tried to maximize every cast. I didn't make any bad moves today. Just didn't get any bites, so that's all right. I'm going to go fish another tournament next week. I'm going to win down here one of these days.
I just made the decision to keep a flip stick in my hand, fish a plastic worm, and do what I like to do best, and that's just pitch and flip. But it kind of fizzled out on me here at the end, and I feel I'm going to be a few big fish shy of being able to win this event. But overall, we'll just have to get him at the next one.
At the weigh-in, the anglers revealed the results of their day-long efforts, and it didn't take long to get the feeling that J.T. Kenny and Jimmy Luthner were holding something back, something special for a dramatic end to the beginning of the FLW season.
Needs 4-9 to win. 4-9 to win. This is going to be so close.
All right, let's stick it in the bucket and see what we got.
This fish weighs 6 pounds, 1 ounce. We have a champion.
J.T. Kenny, your champion.
While Kenny walked away with a $110,000 check, second place and $40,000 went to Jimmy Luthner, the other FLW first-timer. We asked him about kissing that fish.
What was going through your mind then?
I hope I can kiss a bigger one pretty quick here.
What was going through the fish's mind?
She was digging it.
All right, let's bring to the show FLW Tour rookie and the first champion of the 2002 season, J.T. Kenny. You got to see yourself hoisting up that $110,000 check. Has it sunk in yet?
I don't think it's sunk in, but that's the first time I've got to see that footage, and I'll tell you what, that sent chills up my spine.
When did you know that you had this tournament won?
I really didn't know till right at the end. I knew I had a big fish left, and I kind of thought that Jimmy had a big fish left, but when I pulled it out and knew it was bigger than the 4 pounds I needed, it was an amazing feeling.
All the way down to the wire. Well, now obviously a lot of key components added up to this victory. What was key for you?
The first 2 days was just covering a lot of water, made some good decisions, caught a nice fish right at the end of the second day that really helped me make the cut. And the third day, I got on that bigger fish pattern, just fishing really slow, having confidence that the fish were there and confidence in myself that I could catch them really helped me a lot.
What was working for you? What kind of techniques and things?
I was doing something I'm real comfortable with. It's called pitching and flipping. It's a real precise technique where you really zero in on very small target areas where you think the fish are. And I was using a Gambler Crawdaddy, black blue shadow color. That was really working well.
And here we are. We're taking a look at where you were and to describe a little bit about this scene.
Right here where I was at, there's a spot where two deeper areas in the lake come together, Sportsman's Cut and Harney Pond Canal. They kind of meet right near where I was fishing. And then there was a lot of hydrilla, which is an underwater submerged vegetation with stalks of bulrush sticking up out of it. And anywhere that bulrush was sticking up out of that underwater hydrilla really seemed to be where those big fish were keying.
Got some great footage here of some of your big catches. Now, 2 weeks prior to this tournament, you fished in the EverStart Series event on Lake Okeechobee. How did that help or affect your tournament here in the FLW?
It gave me a lot of confidence that I could fish well. I had a real good finish in it, but the fishing was completely different. The water temperature was about 30 degrees cooler during that tournament, so it was a whole different ball game.
And one of the great storylines as well was you finished 5th in that EverStart Series event, and you took home a paycheck of $7,500. Which was your biggest paycheck in your professional fishing career to that point. 2 weeks later. Wow.
That's correct. It was quite an amazing deal that day. When I've gotten a lot of $2,000, $3,000 checks here and there, but that was my biggest check so far. And then to come back 2 weeks later and win $110,000, I mean, it's just been an amazing ride.
Now there was a key element there at the end of day 2, and that's cut day. That's when we go from 175 anglers down to 20, and you really want to get into that final 20. You had to make a decision. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, at the end of the 3rd day, I still had a couple small fish in the live well, and I thought I had enough, but I wasn't sure, and I went back and caught one more big one, and then I really thought I had enough to make it into the 4th day.
But it might have come right down to the wire there with that.
Oh, yeah, it definitely could have, but I'm glad I made the right decision.
So. One of the great storylines also that came out of this is the fact that you, as an FLW Tour rookie, win your first event. But Jimmy Luthner also, he finished in 2nd place. The two of you are going to be kind of intertwined together in this. Had you gotten to know each other before the tournament?
No, we really didn't, and because everything's kind of hectic when the tournament's going on and stuff, and we really didn't get to know each other. I got to talk to him just a little bit, but I'm sure I'll get to meet him a lot closer before the next tournament.
A lot of big smiles on that stage there. What was your family's reaction?
Oh, they were just as excited as I was. I mean, it was, they saw me working for this, and it's to win $110,000 just sometimes seems so far out of reach, and then, and all of a sudden, boom, there you are, it happens. It's just amazing.
Dinner was on JT Saturday night, that's for sure. Well, we have some statistics that came from this great tournament at Lake Okeechobee. We call it our Stanley Stats. There's the total number of fish caught, 2,568, and the combined weight of all of those fish, 4,861 pounds, 7 ounces. Just 5 stringers of 20 pounds, or at least 20 pounds, and JT, you had 2 of those, one in the semifinals and one in the finals, and that obviously helped you to victory there. 348 limits of 5 fish caught. That out of 750 possible, and of course the great storyline as well. 2 FLW rookies making the finals and finishing 1 and 2. Well, coming up, we've got more with JT Kinney, including pictures of the young JT. But first, FLW Greatest Hit number 2. This is David Dudley. Now remember to just go online to FLWOutdoors.com and vote for your favorite hit.
Got her. That's a nice little short fat fish. That was the female that was sitting on that bed. That time, like I said, she was sitting halfway up and I had to go to a light sinker and a perch looking bait. She definitely wasn't interested in the pink, so I switched to the perch looking bait. She did not like that.
What angler had the biggest bass for the entire 2001 FLW season?
FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Conseco, Step Up, by Stanley, Make Something Great, and by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time.
What angler had the biggest bass for the entire 2001 FLW season? The answer? David Walker with a 9-pound, 10-ounce largemouth at Lake Okeechobee, where Walker finished 6th last year.
On behalf of Energizer, we'd like to congratulate you on a great tournament. As Charlie mentioned, coming from 127th place and making it to the top 10, you have to be a little bit like Energizer in order to do that and have the power to keep going and going, and we have a trophy to symbolize that performance.
Shopback Award. Here comes Shopback. Okay, he gets this beautiful 10-gallon stainless steel Shopback for having the 3-day total highest weight at 49 pounds, 3 ounces from Shopback.
Welcome back. The first event of the season automatically mirrors season standings. Let's take a look now at the Land O'Lakes rankings. All right, here we go. J.T. Kenny is our leader and is followed by Jimmy Luthner, then Jay Yellis, Gary Klein, and 5th, Jodan Satina. We welcome back J.T. Kenny. It's got to be nice to see your name at the top of that list.
Oh, it's something I've always dreamed about, and there it is. It's pretty exciting.
Let's talk a little bit about some of your early days. What was it that got you started fishing?
I remember the first time I ever went fishing, my dad took me to a little golf course pond, and I caught a 13-inch largemouth bass, and I was just addicted ever since.
Now, growing up in Maryland, were you fishing for lots of different kinds of fish?
I would fish for anything that would bite.
All right, look at the screen here, JT. Describe this for us now.
Those are pictures of probably when I was 6 or 7, 8 years old, just as happy as can be, as you can tell.
Youthful enthusiasm there. Who were some of your role models as you grew up?
Probably when I first started getting into fishing, Jimmy Houston, Roland Martin, they were the guys that were on TV all the time. And then when I got started into actual tournament fishing, Kevin Van Dam, I would say, would be the guy I looked up to the most.
When did you know you might want to do this to try and make a living?
When I found out you could make a lot of money at it, that exact moment.
That's not uncommon right there. In fact, a lot of these young anglers are seeing these big paychecks, just like when you hoisted up that $110,000 check. What kind of advice would you give to them?
Just spend as much time as you can on the water. I mean, I fish probably 300 days a year. And some days it's hard to get out there when it's raining or it's cold or it's windy or you got something else you want to do. But just, persistence pays off. You're out there every day. Every day you're out there. If you pay attention, don't just go out there and go through the motions. Go out there and actually pay attention to what's going on. Try to read the water. And it pays off.
It's been exactly 1 week since you won your title. Has your phone been ringing a little bit?
I've been on the phone every day for the last 4 or 5 days, just every minute of every day. It's been great.
Now, something we didn't know about, didn't mention, you were a nationally ranked ATV rider at one point.
Yeah, back, I think I quit doing that when I was about 16 years old. Yep. But it was a fun time, too. I've always been competitive.
All right, and done rather well as well, yeah. Where do you see fishing going in the next 5 years?
With all the big sponsorships we've got coming in right now and great TV shows like this one and, great companies, Ranger Boats helping us out, I think that the fishing is really gonna go places that none of us can even imagine. And I'm glad I'm here and ready to go along with the ride.
It was fun to watch you, JT. Each week we give you, the viewer, a chance to ask the pros for advice. This week we go to Gerald Parrish of Lakeland, Florida, who asks, do pros use GPS systems during tournaments? And if so, how has the use of GPS improved fishing strategy for anglers? JT, take a shot at that one.
That's a really great question. I use a Lowrance X15 combination sonar and GPS unit. And it really helps you a lot because when you find a spot that you want to fish and you want to get right back to, all you have to do is press one button and it will easily take you right back exactly to the spot. And sometimes it doesn't even necessarily have to be a spot that would be real hard to find. Most people would mark their spot on the bank by a rock or a tree or something on the bank. Well, with that GPS unit, so there might be someplace else on the lake that a rock or a tree might look the same. So with that, it can take you right back to your spot, and you're not wasting any time running around trying to look for, the spot that you think you were going back to. With this, with the GPS, and you run right back to it. It's a really big help.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, our next question comes from Skip Williams of Mesa, Arizona, who asks, I consider myself an advanced angler, but I want to take the next step and become an expert, perhaps even a professional. Aside from understanding bass habits and patterns, what single piece of advice will most impact my fishing success? Well, Skip, here is Castrol Pro David Dudley with your answer.
There's no secrets in fishing, Skip, but what separates the average angler from the advanced angler is an angler who can take knowledge and actually put it into play. don't get caught up in going through the motions. And when I say going through the motions, I mean going down the bank, just randomly flipping, not putting any thought in behind what you're doing, just making cast after cast, not thinking, not presenting your bait right. One of the very most important things you can do as an angler is to think out what you already know, then actually put it into play. Skip, I think you'll become an angler that you want to be.
Thank you, David. Well, one of the great benefits of traveling on the FLW Tour is the amazing places we get to visit at each stop. And Clewiston, Florida is certainly no exception as the gateway to South Florida. We introduce our feature called Hometowns with this look at stop number 1 on the FLW Tour.
South Florida offers the traveler many famous sights, but perhaps you may not be aware of the rich Native American history in the area. You've heard of the Florida State Seminoles? Well, these are the real ones. At the Atatiki Museum, you can learn of the original anglers of Florida. The hands-on exhibits teach the wonders of yesteryear, and displays feature a rare collection on loan from the Smithsonian. Just down the road in Fort Lauderdale is another stop you won't want to miss. Anglers everywhere should have their sights set on the International Game Fish Association. Not only are all the record catches of every type of game fish recorded here, but the IGFA uses its unique museum to achieve a greater goal.
We want to keep fishing for generations to come. We've got a huge junior program, a very big education component, including curriculum from kindergarten through 12th grade.
Coming up, Coach Dennis Green takes the water at Lake Okeechobee and shares his love of fishing. And George Cochran teaches some spinnerbait techniques guaranteed to get you big hits.
But first, we bring you nominee number 3 in the FLW's greatest hits. Witness the honest enthusiasm of Vermont's Jimmy Luthner.
Try about an 8 or a 9 pounder. Oh, baby, come on, please. Hang on for me. You can do it. Come on, girl. Here you go, here you go. It's all right, it's all right.
Oh my God, yeah! Woo, that's a fish. This is definitely my day. Wow. Come on, that's a huge fish.
I want to give you a good fishing tip this year where you catch more bass on the spinnerbait. Everyone owns spinnerbaits and has them in their tackle box. But one of the biggest tips I can give you where you catch more fish is when you throw your spinnerbait out and retrieve it back. Stop, start it, twitch your rod, make this bait look like it's a real injured shad, and I promise you'll catch more fish.
Welcome back to Walmart FLW Outdoors. In just a minute, we'll show you how you can put your kids' pictures on the Fujifilm Wall of Fame and on this show.
But first, let's check the BFL Series schedule. Now, BFLs are one-day events. They happen all over the country, and many pro anglers got their start in the BFL. 2 are being held today, right back at Lake Okeechobee in the Gator Division, and in Arizona at Lake Havasu in the Colorado River Division.
The Texas Tournament Trail is a series of 5 events in the Lone Star State, and it starts today at Lake Amstead.
And remember, the EverStart events are in 3 parts of the country. They help send promising anglers to the FLW. For upcoming EverStart events, along with BFL, Texas Tournament Trail, and RCL Walleye Circuit events, go to the FLWOutdoors.com website. There you will find all of the current results and schedules.
All right, 2 weeks ago, you met the newest member of FLW Outdoors team, former Vikings coach Dennis Green. A few days ago at Lake Okeechobee, we hooked up, wet a line, and talked about life after the NFL. Now, Coach, when that call came on the Monday morning, 2 days after you left your football job from Irwin Jacobs, what was going through your mind?
Well, you know, I was thinking about doing some television work, but it was more for the NFL. You know, I was pretty much convinced I was going to take the year off of football. I was convinced of that. And what it came down to is me looking at what the opportunity is going to be after the Super Bowl is over. So, and I also expect to be unemployed for more than 2 days, so it caught me totally by surprise.
What is it about fishing that you love so much?
Well, you know, it's great recreation for me. I grew up doing it, so it's a big part of what I absolutely love to do. And, you know, being in Minnesota the last 10 years and for 20 years before that, different parts of the country, I'd always enjoyed different verses and different variations of fishing. And so it's something that's been exciting for me. Now, I think to come out here and have some association with the very best, the pros. I think you're dealing with a very top athlete. That's what you're doing. When you're fishing at the highest level, you're the best competitor at what you do in the world. When you're playing in the National Football League, you're the best in the world. And as you know, I mean, a lot of countries love bass fishing, but there's nobody that does it like America. So what we're dealing with right now is the best in the world, and I think that's what makes it exciting. Also, we know this is that there is a doubt about who's going to win a tournament. Every single time there's a tournament, there are the expectations that every single angler can win, but there's also the concept that we know that there is intrigue involved in it.
Do you think you'll learn some things throughout this year?
The key thing we know this, you recognize how difficult it is to catch fish. I mean, when you get in a local tournament, a fun tournament, you come in 8th or 9th, and you know you fished your tail off, and then you get here and recognize that these guys and women are so further ahead than that, you get a great appreciation for their talent. Well, I think one of the things that we know about our game is that you have to really be able to adapt, that what takes place in the first quarter, the wind changes, you have to do something different in the second quarter. You come out at halftime, what worked, as we say, plan your work and then work your plan, and then be really to adapt and adjust to it. And I think those are some of the key things. One thing that we know in football we call the 3 A's, which is the ability to take action, to recognize what needs to be able to do when you adjust, and then really go out with the right, proper attitude. So it's action, adjustment, and attitude. And that positive attitude will make those fishy come right to you.
Well, the coach fished 2 days at Okeechobee while we all worked and did real well. And if I hadn't forgotten my Fuji camera last week, I'd show you a picture or two. Instead, here's a peek at the Fujifilm Wall of Fame. This week, the stars are 5-year-old Matthew Manso and his mom, Denise, and his first ever black crappie. 8-year-old Mitchell Manso with a 2-pound, 14-ounce smallmouth. Boy, the Manso family was busy. 2-year-old Tarek Fuchs trying his luck on DeSoto Bend. And Zachary Gebhardt and Alexander Hayward and their 3.5-pound walleye caught near North Bay, Ontario. We want to make young anglers TV stars, so send your kids' fishing photos via email to photos@flwoutdoors.com. That's for email, or you can do it the old-fashioned way. Mail them to Photos in care of FLW Outdoors, and the address is 88 Moores Road, Gilbertsville, Kentucky, 42044. We'll show some of these photos here on FLW Outdoors on the Fujifilm Wall of Fame.
Taylor, I think a few of those fish would have done well at Okeechobee last week.
Yeah, but those walleye would have really freaked them out.
made for an exciting weigh-in, that's for sure. Coming up, how you can win $1 million in the Conseco Fishing Challenge. Plus, we'll meet a 17-year-old who's fishing FLW events on the pro side.
Now, here's the last of our FLW's greatest hits. It comes from the first champion of the season, J.T. Kenny. And coming up, we'll tell you how to vote for your favorite.
That's a big one. Okay. Yes!
You want excitement in a $100,000 tournament. That is it.
FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Energizer batteries and flashlights, the power to keep going and going. By the Conseco Challenge, where you could win $1 million. And by Yamaha, when you want the best.
The care and upkeep required for your dream rig is not only on the outside, it's the things inside that counts also. For instance, today's higher thrust trolling motors are more demanding on the boat than ever before. Make sure you've got a good reinforced through-bolted trolling motor, protrusion for instance, something to back it up, and make sure that you've got the strength and integrity to stand the test of time. You want this reinforcement so you don't have to come back over time, remount a trolling motor, tighten things up. The trolling motor is mounted steady and sturdy, same as the outboard engine is, day in and day out, anytime you want to use a rig. It's the little things outside and inside that makes the difference. Quality, performance, these small details that's going to allow you to have fun and an enjoyable time on the water without daily care and upkeep.
All right, here's a look at last week's Family Fun Zone at the Clewiston Walmart Supercenter. Now, folks, this is a traveling roadshow. It is quite a thrill on the Friday and Saturday of any FLW Tour event.
Parents, grandparents, and children can enjoy many different kinds of booths set up by the sponsors of the FLW Tour. Giant slides, fishing, dancing, and a lot of fun is found in abundance at the Family Fun Zone.
And we want to invite you to come and experience the excitement at our next Family Fun Zone in Florence, Alabama on Friday, March the 15th and Saturday the 16th. It is truly a unique experience you don't want to miss, and best of all, it's absolutely free. Welcome back to FLW Outdoors, everybody. I'm Carlton Wing with Taylor Carr, and we've got a great story on the future of fishing.
You know, the tremendous rise in the success of professional fishing has the next generation anticipating great rewards. Such is the case of a young Kentucky angler with some big dreams. At 17, Stephen Anderson of London, Kentucky is the youngest FLW pro. After fishing 8 BFL events in the last 2 years, Anderson moved to the big leagues and got his first start at Lake Okeechobee. Anderson struggled and weighed only 6 fish in 2 days, but he said he had no regrets.
I wish it'd last forever, really. Wish it'd last at least till Saturday. I'd be in the top 10 then.
Are you disappointed?
Yeah, I worked for a lot of fish today. A few fish come off again today. It was just tough out there. Wind started blowing early, messed my fish up.
So, and now this whole thing is over. Was it what you expected?
I was expecting a little bit more from the fishing practice. I had a few more bigger fish and everything, and they just didn't bite for me.
Now, JT, Stephen is 17. You're 27. Could you have handled this 10 years ago?
I really don't know. It's quite a lot of pressure. It's been tough on me right now. So much excitement goes along with it. I mean, and trying to keep everybody in line and remembering who to call back and all that. But it's a lot of work, but I'm not complaining a bit.
All right, well, it is now time to take one more look at the FLW's greatest hits. We'll show you a brief look at each of our 4 entries so you can make your decision and log on to FLWOutdoors.com and cast your vote.
Here's one more peek at the topwater action of Anthony Gagliardi.
Next up, David Dudley not only catches his fish, but teaches how the difference in color makes a difference in your live well.
Jimmy Luthner lands the big catch and possibly lands a new girlfriend with this bass.
And JT Kenny shows off his championship form with the big one that did not get away. Don't forget to log on to FLWOutdoors.com to cast your vote. We will show you the winning entry next week on FLW Outdoors.
Our FLW tournament schedule is just now underway. Let's take a look at where our anglers are headed next.
That's Lake Wheeler in Northwest Alabama. JT, you ready for that?
Absolutely.
Winning puts you ready right there. Lake Ouachita, Beaver Lake, Old Hickory in Nashville, Tennessee. Lake Champlain also. That's going to be the home of Jimmy Luthner. That's his home lake.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, doing well in a tournament gives you a lot of confidence, and then him going to his home lake, he's definitely going to be one of the people to watch there.
Which one of those lakes fits your style?
Hopefully all of them. No, Old Hickory should do me pretty good, and Wheeler might be pretty good for me too, so we'll have to see.
And we'll hope for an appearance at the FLW Championship in Shreveport. And don't forget about the $1 Million M1. That's coming in March. It's sure to raise an eyebrow or two when some angler raises that world record paycheck. Big money and big-time fishing are combining once again in Mobile, Alabama for the second Ranger M1 tournament. At the first-of-its-kind event, Darrell Robertson won $600,000. This February, the next Ranger M1 will hit the waterways, promising the top angler a world record payout of up to $1 million. That's just first-place money. $3.6 million is the total prize package for the 200 anglers and 200 co-anglers. Those vying for their share of the millions have fished all year among 33 different qualifying events to earn a berth in the Ranger M1, which features a 4-day elimination-style format popular on the Walmart FLW Tour. The best in the business will put their skills to the test in Alabama, and you'll see the first $1 million winner in professional fishing history live Saturday, March the 2nd at 3 o'clock Eastern, right here on the PAX Network.
And also, the Conseco Fishing Challenge is your way to win $1 million. Log on to FLWOutdoors.com. Pick your top 6 anglers for the next event at Lake Wheeler in Alabama on February 16th.
Now, we didn't have a $1 million winner at last week's Lake Okeechobee tournament, but congratulations to Michael Glasgow of Pleasant Grove, Alabama. He picked the highest ranking team of 6 anglers, and he won $3,500 worth of a guided fishing trip. How about that?
Yeah, in all, $5,500 in prizes were handed out from last week's tournament. And you can log on for the next tournament and try to win a prize or maybe $1 million if you pick the top 6 finishers in order.
Well, that is it for this show. Thanks for watching, everybody. This week's episode of FLW Outdoors. For JT Kenny and Taylor Carr, I'm Carlton Wing. We're here every Saturday on the PAX Network, 3 o'clock Eastern. And next week, we'll preview the next stop on the FLW Tour. That's Lake Wheeler. We'll see you then.
Give it some slack. She's a trophy winner, and I'm